Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto, where we take the markets one leg at a time while keeping the market cycle in mind. And here in the Real Crypto Power Hour, as of late, we've been discussing the possibility of a Bitcoin inverted head and shoulders right there and a possible neckline breakout here. In my last video, you saw me discuss the symmetrical triangle that we were stuck in. We actually broke that, looks like the day before yesterday, and we caught that live in the Power Hour. That's that 9 o'clock mark right at the bottom. That's when my power hour is. We saw it live. We saw it break this trend line right here. We actually even had another intermediate trend line right here. And we saw it actually broke both of those in real time. We saw it when it was poking through there. And so I was keeping an eye on it while looking at some other things. And it popped up higher, went through this trend line. And then finally all the way up here into the 4,000 level. And so yesterday we were discussing this nice bull flag and how this had formed very structurally sound. The volume signature was fine. There wasn't anything really abnormal to it. Even late yesterday, it actually put in a bit of a bottoming candle right there. And so we were poised for a little breakout here. And I was putting my newsletter together. It was moving up out here. And as I was putting my newsletter together, we were putting in this topping candle. So in the picture on my newsletter, I had this beautiful little green candle here, so a series of 5 green candles in a row, and then when I'm going to publish, the distribution comes in. So, I guess part of the risk of being a person that puts out a newsletter is you're always out of date the second after you send it, and such was the case. But during the live power hour, I was able to kind of straighten things out, put a little disclaimer at the top of the newsletter about, you don't want to prematurely buy patterns, because if you didn't buy this breakout here and you didn't buy this breakout here, your next breakout buy, as we were discussing, was the breakout of the neckline on the head and shoulders pattern. The reason being because if you're thinking we're going to break here, which is the top of this base structure, what happens is you're so close to this neckline here that you're not really missing out on a lot by waiting for the neckline break, actually about 1%. So you're only missing out on about 1% for the safety of that neckline break. And the reason why is because of this candle right here. Very high volume candle. Let's zoom out here. As a matter of fact, it's one of the highest volume candles. It's almost as high as this breakout candle. So what we have now is still a choppy market. We were talking through this entire period about not taking trades and about if you do it, make sure it's on a small time frame and you understand that we're range bound. So, if you want to trade for breakouts, you don't want to buy within the range because it really could have broken lower. There was nothing stating it had to break higher, but it did. It broke higher, and then now we're looking for the break of the head and shoulders. So at this stage of the game, we're back to waiting since we had this distribution candle here. And another thing that's kind of putting me in a little bit of a pause is Ethereum. Now, Ethereum as of late, if you remember the pop yesterday, there's the pop on Ethereum. We were looking at it, and it never, even in real time, I mentioned in the power hour, I'm like, hey guys, we didn't have a big pop on Ethereum. This thing's not really interested in going. And what we talked about the day before was how this move higher out of this little consolidation range. And of course, you also have this high that's going to hold us down as well. We really struggled. Look at all that volume that it took just to pop us out, barely into new highs. And there was no follow through. It actually sold off immediately. You had another lower high here. And we've kind of still been under the auspices of these two candles, which really haven't proven to give us any bullishness. So Ethereum's not dead. I'm not saying it's not going to rally. It can absolutely turn around, but it hasn't shown us as much bullishness to the upside. Now, something interesting, if you guys haven't noticed this, we've been discussing this and we've actually talked about this for a long time. Litecoin is the sentiment indicator for Bitcoin. If you guys haven't heard me say that before, I've said it a few times on the public videos, but these are shorter. I don't get as much chance to talk about it. Litecoin has really been the early move indicator for BTC. It really has been. This move here out of this little trend line happened 2 days before Bitcoin broke its trend line. 2 full days. So it's been, if you've been listening to the markets and paying attention and following, then you will have already kind of seen this. You will have seen Litecoin already break levels. inverted head and shoulders here in Litecoin, so it started to break as well. The market's not rip-roaring higher, but at the same time, and there's the neckline right here, at the same time, we haven't broken down. So we're not broken. I'm not blanket shorting the market, nor am I advising anyone to do that. It's pretty range bound right now, but the bias is to the upside. We're still choppy. It's actually not range bound. It's just choppy. We're choppy, but we're still moving higher. And Litecoin has been leading us higher ever since that little low right there. Even on this breakout, it led us higher. Bitcoin, again, by about 2 days. So maybe in another day or two, we'll finally see Bitcoin break out of its head and shoulders pattern. But Litecoin hasn't even had a tremendous amount of volume nor movement out of this pattern. Volume's a little elevated right there, but it's not extremely high. Something else we've seen recently is Tron find some strength. We've been following Tron for weeks now, many weeks. Just notice its general bullishness. However, it's really failed to make massive runs like we've seen in some of the other coins. Good runs, don't get me wrong, they've been good runs, but it's been kind of more slow and steady than it has been actual really breakout, pause, breakout, pause, breakout, pause. It hasn't done that. We kind of had this choppy run up, and then we had a nice cup, and now we're breaking out of the handle, and it's taking its sweet time as it breaks out. But Tron's looking and performing very well. And another coin we've been discussing a lot recently has been Monero. Monero led a little bit on the last run out of here. Maybe it was out of here, I don't remember, but it led on it was right here actually, out of the what was the right shoulder of its inverted head and shoulders. Right there, it actually led, it ran with Litecoin and started going up. The volume was minimal, it wasn't that great, but it did move, and it's been a little choppy. The pullbacks have been very deep for Monero here. So look at this one, pulled almost all the way back down to the breakout point before it finally went ahead again. So Monero also trying to break out of its head and shoulders. So we have 3 leading coins, and there's a lot of other leading coins with head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders patterns in them as well. None of them really running yet. Everything that kind of runs together, it's not happening. There's no broad market move right now. It seems to be very spotty. There's some bullishness here, and it pauses, bullishness there, and it pauses. We don't have the cohesive bullishness of a bull market. We just don't have that yet. So it could come at any time. We're on the precipice on all of these inverted head and shoulders. Monero's about to break out, or ready to. Litecoin is already broken out. We have, going back to Ethereum right there again towards highs. We haven't broken down. And back to Bitcoin also right underneath that inverted head and shoulders pattern. So we have broken the symmetrical triangle, which is where we left you guys last time. And since then, we've had a lot of interesting price action. Unfortunately, we had this nice distribution candle come in, and so that's going to hold us down for the foreseeable future. Until we can get above that, it's going to be kind of choppy markets ahead. So we have a lot of bullishness. At the same time, we're near a pivot point, which is where failures occur. So you got to be diligent, you've got to be nimble, and you have to be willing to go where the market takes you and not blindly hold a position in one direction or another. Now, if you have a good fill, if you're holding down here from 3,200, or if you're holding here from the 3,800 range, yeah, I think you can hold on to that position. But if you don't have a position, I don't think you blindly hold here upward or downward, regardless of your bias. I think the market needs to prove itself, and it's still going to take more time for that to happen. So until that happens, I'll be here, and I'll be in the Power Hour every single day. You guys can go ahead and join me if you like to. Go to real-crypto.com. You can also find me in my Slack chat room, where you can sign up here on the front page of my website. There's no fee for the Slack chat room. Feel free to join us in there. It's a lot of fun. But if you do want a little bit more mentoring, a little bit more guidance, you can join the Real Crypto Power Hour and the newsletter that comes along with it, where you get charts every single day. We put out 16 charts today. I think it's the most I've ever had in a newsletter, because things are looking pretty bullish. So thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.